With the president of the Senate, the state Senate, how do you feel about this hearing today in Cliffside Park?
I think it was excellent. We learned a lot from the people that testified that proved that we don't have all the answers. So there are areas we need to focus on. But we are working very well together in a bipartisan fashion, and I think we're going to have a good product to present once we're finished.
Okay, and what about you? How do you feel about this meeting today in Cliffside Park?
So I think we've been hearing the same concept everywhere that the Senate committee has traveled, and that's bringing equity and fairness to all of the school districts by running the school funding formula and ensuring that every child gets an opportunity when we make that accurate investment. But I think that what's unique about every meeting that we have is that we get to hear from the administrators, the superintendents, and principals and teachers about different ways that they're teaching our student body. And so in addition to talking about school funding formula, we get an opportunity to also explore avenues as to what better policies we can create as legislature to ensure that our school districts are running effectively and efficiently.
What do you think is the future of the education here in New Jersey? What about the children and their future?
Well, it's important for us to get the funding proper so that children do have a future. Education is the most important thing we can do. And gives our children a pathway to be very successful, or at least gives them the opportunity. So getting the funding proper, not defunding schools like the governor was talking about, but funding schools the proper way that recognizes that we're teaching in many different languages now, and that those children that are learning in different languages are still entitled to a quality education like children that are learning in English. Mm-hmm. So, we heard from one school district that teaches in 48 different languages here in Bergen County. You have to recognize that costs more when you're teaching in so many different languages. But the goal is to provide children an opportunity to succeed. And I'm going to steal Senator Ruiz's line. We do know in pre-K, mm-hmm. if you can take a child, a non-English speaking child in pre-K, and by the time they get to kindergarten, they're speaking English. So you're giving that child a leg up on a lot of other children so that they're going to be able to learn at the same levels as children that are, that speak English naturally, that was their first language. So pre-K is something that Senator Ruiz and I are very, very focused on, because the younger you get someone, your brain develops as a human being, 85% of it from birth to 5 years old. So when you're teaching a child, when you're teaching a baby, they're learning.
Yes.
So the more you teach that child, the more they're going to retain, the more successful they're going to be as they get older in life.
And what is your recommendation about the bilingual families? And the children have to learn first the first language of their parents, or after that, learning English at the school?
Well, I think it's very helpful that our young people are learning, and they actually help their families. Mm-hmm. When children are learning this language, obviously when you're young, it's easier to adapt to a language, but language is a barrier. Mm-hmm. But Spanish is a big language in this state and in this country now. In fact, the Hispanic or Latino community is the fastest growing minority community in the nation. Mm-hmm. So Spanish is not as foreign as it was in the past to a lot of people and businesses, but providing children the opportunity to learn English and take that home to their families, because a lot of times the children are the first ones to actually learn English. Mm-hmm. So it's critically important.
Okay, thank you very much for your words here in Cliffside Park.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.